I asked our listeners here, some of the things that they wanted to hear about you and your life. And, we want to go all the way back, to hear your full testimony, but starting with childhood too, like the kind of home that you grew up in that, shaped you and, set you off into the adult entertainment industry. So if you wouldn't mind telling your story, just starting all the way at the beginning.
Okay, so I grew up in it was a dysfunctional, chaotic household. There was a lot of verbal, emotional, physical abuse. And so I just really felt rejected by my family. I felt extremely unloved. I didn't think that anybody could ever love me. And so I started searching for just that love in all the wrong places. I started dating a guy in high school who, like, it's so embarrassing. I like chase this guy down. Like, I'm like, he is going to notice me. He is going to be my boyfriend. And I just made it happen. I think I got rejected by him a few times. I'm like, it's going to happen. Like, I was that girl. Like, I was so hungry for someone to notice me that I was willing to chase somebody down. And we start dating, and I lost my virginity to him, and he cheated on me after that with three different women. And I was heartbroken when it was his twin brother had that conversation with me. And so after that, I just felt like even more rejected. Like, here's this guy you think like you have sex with, that you're gonna marry this person, and all my young 16-year-old naive thoughts. And so I ended up going out to Mexico with my friends because their answer was like, let's just go party. And so we end up in Mexico because you can get into any club with a valid high school ID. And
Okay.
so I showed them my ID. I was 16, got in. It was the first time I ever remember getting drunk, and I went outside, and across the way I saw another club, and the name was familiar because some of the high school guys in my video class that I was doing used to talk about how beautiful the women were. And so I'm like, well, I wonder what these girls have, like, why are these women beautiful? I wasn't expecting what I walked into. So I go up, and the security guards are like, you can't come in. And I told them, I just want to dance. I'm not going to drink. They're like, oh, you want to dance? We'll come in. So it was a strip club. I did not know it was going to be a strip club, but I had a broken heart and liquid courage. So that night, they put me in line behind these other women, and I just kind of watched what they did. I'd never been into a strip club, and I just kind of followed their lead. And I think I made like $60 that night. Like, it wasn't much money whatsoever, but to a 16-year-old, that was a lot of money. Most of my paychecks, like for 2 weeks, were $100.
Yep.
I mean, the pay was a lot lower back then. So that night, a seed was planted in me because people there were praising me. They were telling me that I was beautiful and that they loved me. And I felt like this is what I've been searching for. Like, all my life, I just wanted somebody to notice me and pay attention. So if I take my clothes off, and that I'll get paid for it, and I'll get affirmed. So
Yeah.
that night, that seed was planted. And then I moved away for college, and I started dancing again. And then from there were a couple producers that came into the club, again affirming me and tipping me more money than most people did. And so I called them, and they told me that they had made romance movies, and that if I was ever interested, to give them a call. So when I called them, I met them out in Los Angeles, and I watched them film a porn scene. And then from there, they got me connected to an agent, and then I was in that industry for 7 years.
Wow. And how long after getting started with that did your drug addiction start?
Pretty quickly. So in high school, I had battled with anorexia, and I had tried cocaine maybe 10 to 15 times. And when I got into the porn industry, I had just gotten out, like, of the treatment center that I was in for anorexia. Maybe, like, it had only been a matter of 6 to 8 months, something like that. And so I go to set one day, and a director tells me, you're fat, you need to lose weight. And so very quickly I turned to what I knew. I'm like, okay, well, cocaine will make me lose weight. So I started using cocaine. And then from there, a guy that I started dating introduced me to pills. And this all happened within probably 3 months of being in the industry. And once I started using cocaine, it was like every single day, and I didn't stop.
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting to me about that is like there's such a cultural push, convincing girls that this is something empowering, selling yourself, showing your body, dancing, the OnlyFans. Like there's such a message out in the world right now that like, oh, this is the empowering thing to do. And that's a lie that I previously bought into. And I used to think like when I got started in the industry dancing that like, oh, I can do this and be sober because this is a part of me like healing and evolving and taking my power back and all of
Yeah.
these things. And it wasn't long after when I noticed I was drinking every day again. Now I'm doing strange drugs with girls in the bathroom. And now I just started doing all these things where I started really hardcore abusing substances again. And what I say about that is like the more that you're doing these like soul selling things, the more you have to numb and cope. And you don't even realize you're doing that until it's like too late and you're in deep with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I only know maybe 2 or 3 women that don't use drugs and do porn, and I'm always, like, blown away, like, "How do you do it?" You know? Because the vast majority in the industry are using drugs or they are drinking on a regular basis. So
That's
it's
something.
very common in the sex industry.
Yeah, and I heard you talk about that, like if it is so empowering, then why are people committing suicide? Why are people overdosing? Why are people dying from AIDS? And I know that that was a big thing is like there were a lot of women when you were in that had just committed suicide. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, it was shortly after I left in 2018. I just saw like back to back suicides.
Mm.
When I just got in the industry, there was a HIV outbreak. But when I left, it was like back to back. Like, I think it was every single month for about the first 6 months of the year, there was somebody dying. I know that CBN News covered it. We did like, I joined forces with them to just pray over the industry because it just kept happening back to back.
Oh my gosh, and I know so many men too, like, who just, like, don't even realize the darkness that's going on in the porn industry, like and a lot of them are so, naive to think like, "Oh, these women enjoy it," like, they enjoy what they do, otherwise they wouldn't do it, and they don't realize like, the people that believe that lie don't realize, like you said, that most people are substance abusing just to make it through what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, like people go to work every day that don't like their jobs, right? So you can't think just because a woman is doing porn or a man is doing porn that they actually like what they're doing. Like they're getting paid to act, they're getting paid to perform.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like to think that just because they're saying all the right words or, all the right moans or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
like just because they're doing that doesn't mean that they're enjoying it. Like they are actors, they're actresses.
Yeah, exactly.